The police showed up at my apartment at 6 in the morning and arrested me for stealing my grandmother's life savings. My entire family stood outside watching as I was led away in handcuffs, and my sister smiled before yelling, "You finally got what you deserved." I spent 2 nights in jail before security camera footage proved I had never even been inside my grandmother's house. The charges were dropped immediately, but by then the damage was done. I lost my job, my friends stopped talking to me, and my relatives still acted like I was guilty. A week later, my grandmother secretly asked me to visit her. The first thing she said was, "I know you didn't steal my money." She explained that my sister was the only person who had access to her safe, but nobody in the family wanted to believe she was capable of stealing from her own grandmother. Instead, they blamed me because I had moved away years earlier and wasn't around to defend myself. Then my grandmother showed me copies of her bank statements. Nearly $500,000 had disappeared over the last 3 years, and every transfer led to accounts owned by my sister's husband. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. My grandmother told me she had suspected them for months, so instead of confronting them, she quietly hired a private investigator. The investigation uncovered everything. My sister and her husband had been stealing small amounts of money for years so nobody would notice. They even forged my grandmother's signature to take out loans in her name. When they realized the fraud might be discovered, they blamed me because they needed someone else to take the fall. A few days later, my grandmother invited the whole family over for dinner. Everyone thought it was just another family gathering until she placed the investigator's report on the table. The room went completely silent. My sister's face turned white, and her husband tried to leave, but detectives were already waiting outside the front door. My uncle looked at me and quietly said, "I'm so sorry." I looked around the room and said, "Every single one of you believed I was a thief without asking me a single question. Nobody could even look me in the eye." That same night, my sister and her husband were arrested for fraud, identity theft, forgery, and stealing from an elderly family member. Within months, they lost everything they owned. After everything was over, my grandmother rewrote her will. She donated most of her money to charity because she said none of the family deserved it anymore. The only thing she left behind for them was a letter that read, "The biggest thieves weren't the ones who stole my money. They were the ones who stole the truth." I was the only person invited to the reading of her new will, and as I walked out of that room, I realized I didn't need my family's apology because the truth had already given me everything they never could.